few weeks ago, I shared about a photo project that I've been working on this summer. Earlier this year, they announced that the paper mill in Chillicothe, Ohio was going to be shutting down, and now we're just a couple of weeks away from that. So in an effort to try and document and preserve as much of the history of the paper mill as I can, I basically just put out a call for help, asking people to spread the word, help me get access inside the mill. Thankfully, I was able to do that, and since that last video, I've spent an additional 4 or 5 days inside the mill and just covering as much as I could, meeting as many people as I could. Massive, massive thank you to everybody at Pixel, everyone who helped me get access into the mill, everyone I came across and got to meet and shake hands with people. It's been a very eye-opening project, especially just given the circumstances. Selfishly, I've always wanted to get inside the mill to make pictures, but these are circumstances I would have never wanted to do this under, but it is what it is. I can't do anything to change the outcome, unfortunately. And oftentimes I feel like the only useful thing, or the only thing I'm really good for, is photography. So wanting to try and make something for my community, for my neighbors, the people who live here, the people inside the mill. At the very least, I wanted to be able to put together a collection of photos that, to the best of my ability, kind of show the picture of the mill. And that's something I want to talk about. I actually kind of shared some thoughts on my way to the mill one day. Let's go to that. There's no possible way I'm going to be able to, tell all of the stories or make all of the photos that I know I can make in there. I'm actively working on accepting that and not holding myself to some sort of impossible standard, or I just keep imagining someone who has worked in there, who knows that place inside and out, looking at all of the photos I come up with and going, well, where's the photo of this? Or where's the photo of that? Or you should have gotten a photo of this. And I'm just trying to accept that. Accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to make every single photo that I want. I'm not going to be able to tell all the stories. Even if I had twice the amount of days and hours that I've been in there, I still would be looking at it as, well, I still could have gotten more. I could have gotten more. It can always be better. That's the struggle, I think, when it comes to kind of finally getting the push to pursue this, actually asking for access and trying to find a way in, making it happen. If you keep putting it off, you keep kicking that idea down the road, you don't have that pressure. You can avoid it, but once you start doing it, that pressure is real, and it's not going to be perfect when it's done. It's not going to be finished ever, really. And maybe that's something I do subconsciously. Maybe that's part of my avoidance when it comes to, working on something or tackling an idea that comes to me. It's never going to be as good as you think it's going to be or as you want it to be. And maybe that's part of why I kick the ideas down the road for so long, It's like I'm not ready for the idea to be imperfect anymore. When it's in your head, it's like the perfect scenario and all the circumstances are just, it's exactly what you want. Reality is never that, but reality is better than that. The difference between all of the perfect photos and ideas and projects that I have in my mind and what I've actually made, the difference there is what I've made is actually real, It's not just the one thing in my head that I know about. It's something that is existing in the real world and people are interacting with it. Imperfections and all, I will take that over what could have been any day. So that realization that your work is never going to be as good as you imagine it to be, that's one of those things that I always struggle with, I think with any project. But something like this, where it's about a place more than just me, it's about a place that means so much more to the people inside. There's this idea of delivering on those expectations that I know I'm not going to be able to do, and I have to be able to make peace with that. And I'm finding it harder to do with something like this when I'm not delivering these photos to people on assignment. This is a self-assigned project. I wanted to do this just because I wanted to do it. No one asked me to do it. But I still have that feeling where I want the people who, the real intended viewers, the people who know this place better than I ever will, I want them to come away from it feeling something. And I don't want to just say I want them to come away from it feeling good and feeling great, because this is a really heavy time for those people. The next chapter for so many people is very up in the air and uncertain. I mean, one guy I talked to inside the mill, we were kind of just talking about everything, and I was sharing why I was there and my hopes to make something that people can, remember this place. And he said, I've looked at this machine for 27, 28 years, and the way it's going now, I think I've seen it enough. And I think especially right now, the photos are going to be viewed through that lens. 10, 20, 50 years down the road, maybe people will look at the photos and see something differently or feel something differently, but I think right now it is a very bittersweet kind of thing. There's a local Facebook group here that's specifically for people working at the mill, friends, relatives of people who work there, just people sharing their own photos and memories and stories from working at the mill. And I've been able to share some of the photos from this project in that group so far. And the response has been great, but I've wanted to be able to make photos that celebrate the history of the paper mill and put it in a positive light, no pun intended, but at the same time tell the reality of the situation and actually being there for the end and seeing the final run of production on multiple paper machines inside the mill. It's a pretty historic thing to be there to witness the final run of production of paper on multiple machines there at the mill. Machines that have been in production for decades and decades. One of the last days that I was inside the mill, I got to photograph the last roll of paper that was produced at the paper mill. So this was the last machine that was still running. It was the last roll of paper that it was producing, and I got to photograph that roll finishing up and the shutdown. And that was a heavy moment. It was a really special moment for me to be able to be there for that. I was so grateful. It's something I don't take lightly, that I was welcomed to be in there for something like that, because so many people from the mill who weren't just working on that particular machine, people from all around, everyone there plays a part, and everyone was gathering around that machine watching it finish its final roll. And that felt like a very significant and historic moment to be there and to photograph the people and talk to the people. There were several people I talked to who said, I didn't expect to get emotional just watching this happen, but hearing certain things, like hearing certain buzzers, hearing certain sounds that like audible cues for things in production, it's like they were talking about certain things that they didn't realize until that moment. Oh, I'm hearing this for the very last time. This is the final time that I'm going to notice all of these little things that have just become so commonplace and just things that kind of like fade into your peripheral, the things that are always there, but you don't really pay attention to them because it's just everyday life. It was just a really heavy experience. So I, again, just am super grateful to everyone at Pixel that allowed me to be there for that, everyone that I got to meet. Genuinely like an honor to be able to play a very, very small role in just telling a little bit of our town's history. After the shutdown and the final roll of paper was finished, a lot of the workers were there basically taking some paper home with them, just tearing off sheets and passing paper around from that final roll just so that everyone there could have some paper to take home. And one of my good friends, Ben, who works at the mill, I told him that I was really wanting to try and make prints with paper from the mill. They don't make photographic paper, it's just your typical copy paper. And this final roll was a roll of yellow paper. It's not paper made for any sort of photographic purpose, but I really wanted to just try and make something with it. I couldn't not do that, So Ben told the guys there that were at the paper tearing off the sheets, they told them what I was wanting to do, and they sent me home with a massive, massive roll of paper. So just incredibly thankful to those guys for doing that. I've been taking that massive sheet of paper and unrolling it and unfolding it, spreading it out, and I've been making individual 8x10 sheets from that roll itself, and then taking those sheets and printing on my Epson P900 in the barn. And this paper, again, it's just like very thin copy paper. It's not made for photographic uses. It's also yellow paper on top of that. So it's by far not the ideal choice to make prints with. However, I'm surprised at how well the prints look. I've printed all black and white images since it's on yellow paper. I've yet to try any color images on the yellow paper. I might do that, but I also am like trying to be very cautious because it's finite material. This is all paper from the very last roll that was produced in Chillicothe. I have no idea what kind of archival quality or lack thereof there is with this paper and an inkjet print, but I had to make something with it, and nothing is in place yet. I'm going to try and reach out to the Pump House here in Chillicothe, a gallery, and see if we can do a show just sharing all of these photos so that people from the mill and the entire community can all see the photos in person and in print. And I would really love, if not all of the photos to be made on that yellow paper, I would still love to have a very decent amount of photos printed with the last roll that was made here. So if and when that happens, I'll be sure to let you all know, so that if you're in the area, if you happen to be nearby and would like to see the work in person, that would be incredible. I'd love to meet any of you there. But at the very least, I would love to just have something, some kind of event, an evening where everyone can come together to see the work, share their stories, reminisce together about the mill. I really want to make something like that happen. So when I do, I'll be sure to let you all know about it. And I want to take the time to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace, for supporting this channel and the work that I make. No matter what kind of website you might be trying to build, Squarespace is the #1 place to do it because they have everything you need all in one place. With all of their different templates to choose from, as well as drag and drop customization, it's incredibly easy for anybody to get started and make a website that feels unique to them. Over a decade ago, I built mattdayphoto.com, and I built that with Squarespace. I needed a place to show my wedding portfolio and my portrait photography, just having a place to showcase my work. Nowadays, I use that same website for things like self-publishing, selling my own photo books, zines, prints. Anything I want to do, Squarespace is so customizable and flexible, it can suit any of my needs. Give your work a place to live. I highly encourage photographers especially to put their work somewhere other than just social media and in the middle of a bunch of algorithms. So you can try Squarespace out for yourself with a free trial at squarespace.com. But when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/mattday. Use the code MattDay at checkout, and that'll save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's going to do it for this video. If you all have any questions about this project, thoughts, anything you'd like to share, I would love to hear it in the comments down below. But that's it for this one. So thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.